Hello, everybody! Anime Reflux! Woo! We went
Woo!
from fan service to fan service, swinging from building to building of fan service properties like Spider Man.
You're just
Honestly,
thinking of Spider-Man a lot.
I don't know where this metaphor came from. I was done with that game, but it seems to have just
It's
sort
not done
of.
with you.
you're never done
It's
with Spider-Man.
stuck to me like a web, you could say. So, High School of the Dead. This one is mimetic fan service, is what it is.
There wasn't
Yeah.
honestly enough to seriously bother me. I mean, I would have been happy without it, but honestly, I was just more focused on the story. Where are they going to go with this? It's remarkable, really, how very little plot progression they made in the first 22 minutes.
The first time I saw this show, because this show was recommended to me in the past, so I watched the first episode back then. I did not notice as much of the fan service as I did the second time I watched this show, in which I was like, yeah, they're very apparent about it.
Yeah.
Eh,
I mean, the first scene has a girl stabbing a zombie and her chest jiggling and spending a very zoomed in, focused moment making sure you know that her chest jiggled. And then it
Jiggles
knocked
so
her to the
fast, bullet can
floor
fly.
and her skirt flips all the way up. And they make sure you see that too. Yep.
And the opening for this show, of course, holds no, let's just say, subtleties with what the show wants to be.
I mean, yeah. But that tits didn't juggle the credits, so I'm kind of inured to it at this point.
If we
Okay.
can, if we can move away from the fan service for a moment,
Yeah. I mean,
focusing on the plot. We start in medias res, then we cut back to the start of the day, which is basically just we have the protagonist thinking about the girl he loved, who they pinky swore as children would marry each other one day. Cut to the present, and we have said guy apparently as a bum due to aloofness. Is that the right way to say it?
aloofness? Yeah, that's.
He's met up by another girl who's apparently his friend, a prodigy who's skipping class because she wants to talk to him, and she
Yep.
can afford to because she's a genius.
She's so smart, she uses stupid 20 times in the space of like 3 sentences. Mm-hmm.
Maybe he's just using small words so that he can understand.
No, this is a case of they didn't take the dub for this very seriously. Which, yeah, I get that, but yeah.
Well, we have shortly after that little bit of plot, we have, well, plot as in character interaction, whatever. We have the guy staring at the school gate where there's some weird guy trying to get inside. A few people come up and ask what the heck he's doing. One of them grabs him, and the guy at the gate bites him. He suddenly falls over, convulsing, and dies, and then wakes up as a zombie and bites another gym teacher, and so on. And at this point, protagonist guy freaks out. He heads to homeroom class, disrupting the class to grab his crush, who I should mention, it was mentioned earlier, just dumped him. That's why he was feeling aloof.
Uh,
Yes, Casey?
I'm not quite sure that's the progression of events. I'm not. I did watch the show. I can't remember the entirety of events, but I'm not sure whether she dumped him. But there was a thing about She should be, I believe, a third year. I think she's a year older than him, actually, but
Right.
she was held back, and he's confused why, and she said you wouldn't understand, or something like that. And his best friend, who she's dating, was also held back, or something. Something like that. So he thinks maybe she voluntarily held herself back for his sake, which would be a stupid thing to do in Japan, but yeah. There are other circumstances, but...
There was that, yeah. Well, after that, he just...
Yeah, she is very reluctant to go with him, so he slaps her. Like,
I mean,
hard.
it's... Yeah.
Open hand.
Yeah, if there was like a haymaker of slaps, that would probably be it. Yeah.
And like he's running in and he's yelling, "We're all going! Like there are murderers on campus!" And none of the other classmates really seem to react or move, and the teacher doesn't seem to try to stop them. So,
Well, there's a thing about the teacher, but we'll get to that. Well, we won't actually, but... So a thing comes over the tannoy of, hey, there's a situation going on, so we need you to... And it cuts off. Then it comes back in, and he's getting murdered. Yeah.
And throughout the school, we have a few moments of silence, a few moments of cutting to future protagonist group members.
Yeah.
And then... I don't know. I'm not sure how comfortable I feel saying it out loud, so I'll just type it.
Okay.
All hell breaks loose?
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't feel uncomfortable saying this, but...
Well, I mean, the dead rising is a thing in Revelations, but,
it is.
Yeah.
As all hell does break loose.
Yeah, that's a thing. But yeah, all of the students, before even any zombies get there, they're already kicking the shit out of each other in panic, trying to get out of the school.
Which is standard, really,
yeah.
for mob panic such.
Yep. And then zombie shenanigans happens. You know the drill. Everything gets killed and bitten. Some people panic and kill themselves, thinking it's a dream. Some, they promise to be together forever, and then one of them gets caught, and so the other one just kicks the shit out of him to get him away.
Yeah, let go of me, and then does not move after that.
Yeah,
and then
it's like a microcosm of zombie plots. It's just, yeah. Okay, these are all the zombie things that usually happen, so let's just run down the list. Yep.
And then we move to the fact that the three of them are trying to get to the roof. They have armed themselves with makeshift weapons. Protagonist guy gets a baseball bat, and his girlfriend breaks off a broom to get a makeshift spear.
Yep.
And
it gets it wrong in the dub. She's part of the Naginata Club, so she knows how to use a spear. They call it martial arts in the dub. It's a little weird.
In the sub, they call it sojutsu, which is spear fighting.
Yeah. So that was kind of weird, but like I say, they didn't really give a shit when they were doing the dub. It's a fan service show. That tends to happen.
Yeah. So we have them try and fail to kill a zombie that's in their path, and it manages to get a light bite on best friend guy. He seems to come away from it all right.
Well, it gets a light bite on him, but then they all just kind of stand there, so it gets a not so light bite on him just by continuing to bite on him. Yeah.
So then they try attacking him in the heart, doesn't work. Eventually they try to go for the head. And as they see the rest of the town is going through a similar pandemonium, they decide to head to the roof, barricade it, and just wait up there for reinforcements.
And they see some American helicopters that they realize are the JSDF, doing something that has absolutely nothing to do with rescuing people. And they're like, okay, crap, we're kind of in this on our own. And other show's protagonist guy, I think his name is Musashi, he realizes, yeah, I'm totally going to turn into one of them. Them? Yeah, this isn't a movie or anything, so it's them. We're not calling them the other thing.
Well,
So,
I can imagine.
Throw me off the roof kind of thing, yeah.
I can imagine realistically not wanting to acknowledge the word, just not wanting to say the word zombie if it was actually happening.
I would probably actually want to use it because it gives you a basis to get a handle on the situation. Like, it's a baseline understanding. Okay, this is a zombie apocalypse. We know these. We know the rules. So that would probably kind of a source of comfort and detachment, maybe.
Fair enough. But really, there's not much more plot. We have a few cuts around to possible future protagonists, but really it's just they get to the roof, they put up a barricade, best friend guy succumbs and begs to be killed before he turns into one of them, and they can't bear to do it yet. So he doesn't die as himself, he converts, and then protagonist guy reluctantly kills him, saying this shouldn't be happening, but it is. With a reference partway through to saying
Apologies.
With a reference partway through saying it's just like in the movies. Once you're bitten, it's too late to do anything. It says that it's not a movie that they're in right now. Leaning on the fourth one.
Yeah, and she's like, no, he's fine. Doesn't really matter that his eyes are kind of vacant and just sort of look bruised and broken and his jaw's slack and he's going, he's not one of them.
Yeah, just denial. And
Yep.
I'm sure that it's not so easy to suddenly look at someone you care about and then realize just like that they're a monster or something like that. I'm comparing this an unrealistic amount to realism. Anyway.
Yeah, this not that kind of show. It occasionally sort of tries to be that sort of show, but not very often.
So he whacks him off screen, and we cut to the credits, and then partway through the credits we cut back to them. And she's chastising him for doing it, and going through another stage of grief, the bargaining, I assume, saying, you probably just did this because I was dating him, right? You know, the anger, that would be the anger part. So protagonist guy decides to leave because he's upsetting her, and so he decides to make himself useful and whack some heads in. So he's partway over the barricade when girlfriend apologizes and begs him not to go. And we close on him saying, on the day that the world came tumbling down, I killed my best friend and I held the woman for the first time.
Yeah, the woman I loved for the first time. Like my my dad really loves a lot of zombie media, and so that's how I really got into zombies as a. I guess they're almost like a genre at this point.
Subgenre, yeah.
Yeah. And so I watch a lot of zombie things. You know, I've watched The Walking Dead. I've watched Night of the Living Dead, Shaun of the Living Dead, which is also great.
Yeah, it is.
Shaun of the Living Dead. Like, I've watched a lot of zombie movies. If you're going for the plot, it doesn't really seem to do anything new.
Now, what it seems to me is this was a show that didn't have a good transition from manga to anime. If this were a manga chapter, this seems like it would be a good plot for the first chapter.
Yeah, there's no real hook other than the zombies have attacked.
Yeah.
And fan service.
Yeah.
And that, yes.
And I've read a few manga that feature zombies, and I feel like they've gone off to more interesting starts than this one, which is why I originally never watched past the first episode.
I can name one off the top of my head. JoJo.
I mean, technically, but
And also,
yeah.
you pronounced it wrong. It's JoJo!
JoJo.
I do not think... Never mind.
But the only hook that's present in this first episode is the fan service, because that's what they're aiming for.
I mean, I'm sort of interested in seeing how the plot progresses, but I don't know. Not really my kind of show, anyway.
It's the type of thing where if you need to get your fix of zombie action and also some fan service, you go to it. Is how I feel.
Pretty much.
He wants those things together.
Yeah, it's... Well, I mean, it's exploitation. It's... sex and violence. This is grindhouse shit. This is what that whole genre just sort of lives on.
Yeah.
Only this is the anime version.
Hooray.
I kind of want to watch Father's Day again. Anyway, it just makes me think of better grindhouse exploitation films. So, yeah, I mean, I don't really have much more to say about this. I mean, I watched the dub for the first time, having heard it was kind of lazy and half-assed, but kind of in a funny way, and I kind of get that with Takagi just kind of being airhead genius, kind of. Like, I don't know whether that translates, like, if in Japanese she's also just kind of sounds ditzy, but she definitely does in English. So
All I can say overall, I don't like fan service in general, you know that. But it's not enough to make me... It's not on a level of vulgarity enough to make me dislike this show. I'm probably not going to watch any more of it, but I wouldn't mind doing so if I had to. I don't like it, don't dislike it. It's not a bad show.
I mean, aside from the episode where they get to take a bath for the first time in a long time, there's not that much more severe fan service, to be honest with you.
Remember that time when they shot the bullet and it went between the girl's boobs?
I don't really count that as fan service.
I know, but it's just so ridiculous. Everything I think about is that GIF or that video whenever I think of this show. That's how... It's ridiculous fan service is how I feel. You know, it's not really... I don't know, I laugh at that.
It's weird. That's not the moment I think of for this show. The moment I think of this show is one of the characters that we don't really see much of in this episode just having a big hero's moment and shooting a zombie from like 300 yards away twice and shouting, "Double tap!" which is pretty awesome. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
tap.
that does sound awesome.
That was a pretty good. I haven't seen the show, so that does sound like a pretty good thing. But yeah, I don't got much more to say on this show. What about you, Kenchi?
That's your cue.
All right, here we go.
Ketchy's just fucking rolling, I think. Are we? Do you
Oh,
have things
I
to
thought
say
you-
about the show, Ken? You
Not
haven't
really.
said
I mean,
anything
compared to
even-
last week, I'm not offended to my core that it exists. So it's a thumbs up, I guess.
It's not as bad as last week, so it's okay.
Yeah. The bar was set so low, you could have just basically stepped onto a curb and gotten over it.
I wouldn't. Well, it's not to say that there couldn't have been worse. Let's just hope that we don't get worse right now.
Basically.
Hmm.
All right. So here we go.
Hmm.
And 2.
B.
B.
Let's take a look here. 1, 2. We've hit B only twice before.
All right. So what's the number?
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
110. That's
All
including
right.
already hit, but what are the odds of landing on either of them?
Hurry up and load.
Okay, what do we got? What do you got?
39.
39. Okay. If it were double that, I would have been upset. As it stands, the winner this week is Beelzebub.
Oh,
Oh, I've seen that recently.
yeah.
Or last
So
week, perhaps I should say.
I remember. Actually, I used to read the manga, and then I dropped off it, and then I heard later on that it got canceled.
Yep.
So
It was going to be a big mainstay of Jump, and then it wasn't. Basically, they were trying to make it another, big shonen series, and yeah, it just didn't make the cut. So
I mean, it went 250 chapters, so that's pretty good.
yeah.
And I'm seeing 60 episodes here, so that's pretty good.
So basically, for this, you have your main character, Tatsumi Oga, who, he's a delinquent who's often called the Demon King by those he defeats. And, while he's finishing off a gang, he stumbles upon an infant, and he decides, you know what, I'm going to try to care for the baby. But then the baby becomes attached to him, and turns out this baby is Beelzebub. Is literally
Son of the devil.
yes, son of Beelzebub III, great demon lord, and
Also, I
yeah,
think
you gotta
he's
raise
in,
that baby now.
He's in like a school of delinquents or something.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
How about I just read the summary that we have here?
I mean, that's pretty much the
I-
summary. He has to take
that is
care
pretty
of
much
baby.
the summary. He has to
baby
take care
demon
of this
lord.
baby, and there's Hildegard, the demon maid, who's like, yeah, take care of that baby because that baby likes you too much and it will not leave you. And this is upset.
And if you're too far away from it, or if it cries too much, it'll kill you.
Interesting.
Hmm.
All right, so Beelzebub next week.
Sure, why not?
Mm-hmm.
I don't see a point in vetoing this.
Yeah, this was a decent show. I
I
liked it.
I didn't like it, but we'll get to my full opinions on it when we get to it, I guess, if I can remember them.
I mean, I don't remember anything about the show really, like
Except all the things you just said.
except all the things I just said. The basic premise.
I remember many things because I watched it like 6 months ago. So, like a good
Like
chunk
I
of it.
remember the basic premise, and I remember fighting and the baby getting powers and giving powers to him and stuff like that. I don't remember much else.
Yeah, so we'll do that next week. Cool.
Yeah, it could be a lot worse.
Bye, everybody.
The limpest ending. Bye, everybody. We'll see you guys next time.
People keep complaining that I keep dragging on the end. Oh, whatever.